everyone, this is Steven. I will continue my discussion at this time about more characters and creatures and vehicles from the vintage Masters of the Universe line made by Mattel back in the 1980s. I will start the story with these pieces. This is the Tyrannosaurus Rex and King Hiss, the leader of the Snake Men. They were not sold together, they were sold separately, so King Hiss and the T-rex here. This is how they look when they're put together. Of course, any figure can fit on the saddle here. It doesn't have to necessarily be King Hiss, but according to the mini comics, King Hiss and his snake men used to fight with the Eternians even in the prehistoric times. So that's why I keep him too, in order to follow that original story. So let's just talk about the T-rex for the moment, or the Tyrannosaurus Rex as he's known. He has the saddle here and has a lever that controls an action feature that doesn't work in his case anymore. But this hatch can be closed, so he can be displayed as a regular dinosaur, or if you want to put the figure, you just flip it open and put the figure inside. When that lever is pulled, his belly will open like so, and outside will come out a plastic saw that would hit the enemy up close. So that was his action feature. His arms can move up and down, and the legs as well. His jaw is articulated, so he can open his mouth, and has a lot of a very big tongue and a bunch of sharp teeth inside. It's all made of hollow plastic, no rubbery parts on him. The neck of the head can allow the head to move left and right, and the tail itself is made of a hard plastic and it's not bendable in any way, and there is no articulation in it. This Tyrannosaurus Rex, as he's known, he's practically just a T-rex, like the ones that existed on Earth, except the notion of the story in the Masters of the Universe is that the dinosaurs existed on pre-Eternia as well, way before Castle Grayskull was built. So he was released in 1987 at the very end of the Masters of the Universe line, and he was released with two more dinosaurs, a Turbodactyl, which is practically a cybernetic version of a pterodactyl, and also cybernetic version of a Triceratops. So the three of them came out in a subline of the Masters of the Universe called the Powers of Grayskull, which was supposed to introduce characters and creatures of pre-Eternia. But since that idea didn't work, only the dinosaurs were released, without seeing any actual characters making the appearance. So in that case, only, as I said, only the three dinosaurs came out. And out of those three, I only have the T-rex here, and I have the cybernetic Triceratops. Now you must have noticed I'm saying that they're cybernetic. Why do I say that? For the most part, they are practically the same, one and the same as the ones on Earth. There is, however, one difference. It seems that their bodies were affected with cybernetic virus that gave them some kind of robotic parts and screws all over them, which made them half dinosaurs, half cyborgs. That's why I say cybernetic. But in a way, if you exclude the fact that they have cybernetic parts, they practically look the same as the ones on Eternia. The same as the ones on Earth. So He-Man traveled into the past, according to one mini comic book, and he witnessed the pre-Eternia and the King Hiss and his Snake Men and the early warriors of Eternia who fight against the Snake Men. So that idea was very interesting, but back in the day just didn't see the full realization other than the dinosaurs themselves. So this would be the Tyrannosaurus Rex. His rider is King Hiss, the leader of the Snake Men, who never showed up in the Filmation cartoon series, but he did show up in numerous mini comic books and comic books of the time. He is a leader of the Snake Men, such as his warriors are Tang Lashor, Ratlor, Cobra Khan, Snake Face, and Squeeze. He and his warriors used to fight in pre-Eternia, and they even ruled Eternia for many centuries before they were overthrown by the Council of Elders, which is practically the most powerful wizards of Eternia, who imprisoned him and his warriors in a timeless void, and they were released from that void centuries later by Skeletor, who was seeking new ways of destroying him, and he released them together with Cobra Khan, who served him at that time. As soon as the Hiss was released, Skeletor struck a bargain with him that they become allies and that they defeat He-Man together in order to share the power of Grayskull. Now the problem is, of course, Skeletor and Hiss never trusted each other, so they were always thinking as soon as they get the hold of the power, they will get rid of the other one. So neither of them was being too honest about their alliance, but it was to be expected from the two warlords like them. King Hiss here has the human appearance, but of course he's not human, otherwise he wouldn't be, he's not entirely human, that's why he wouldn't, otherwise he wouldn't really be the leader of the Snake Men. So you're wondering where are the snakes then, but before I get to that I will just mention that he has also a snake staff for a weapon and a red shield with the emblem of a giant snake. He has articulation in the arms that move up and down. Whoops, partially the feature is revealed already. The arms can move up and down. There is no movement in the torso and no movement in the head. There is movement in the legs, which are connected by a small soft rubber band in the crotch. But in order for me to show you the feature, I will just start removing his body parts, which are part of his action feature. When you remove the skin of his arms, you reveal the snakes. And the final piece would be the upper part of him, which can also be removed by very carefully splitting open his upper body. Of course, I do advise this to be done carefully because there is very tiny pegs connecting his upper body, which are also quite fragile, so I wouldn't recommend forcing them open by force. You gotta do it slowly in order to avoid any damage. That's why I don't like transforming him too much, for that very reason. Unfortunately, the toys of the 80s, maybe due to the age or due to the kind of plastic being used, they can be very fragile. And it's rather difficult if you're like me, who doesn't have doubles of any of these characters, that one has to simply be very cautious and careful in dealing with these. And as the bad luck will have it, he's giving me some problem here, but I think I got it. So here we go. King Hiss in his snake form. These armed snakes can be removed as well, but all you really see if you remove the arms is the actual pegs that connect these arms to the rest of the body. So he's made up of all sorts of snakes, his head being the largest piece. The head has no movable articulation, so the jaw is not articulated and the head cannot turn left or right. This is the best part of him, meaning his snake form, which proves that he is one and the only leader of the Snake Men. And this is how his skin pieces look like, made of two halves that comprise his human form. And there is very tiny holes and pegs that connect the two in order to bring him back to his human form. So I'll just put the pieces back together so that they don't get lost or broken. So we just connect the upper body parts first by clicking them in place all along the edges. And putting his arms back. And there we go, we get King Hiss back in his human form. Now the other pieces I want to discuss is Thunder Punch He-Man, one of the variants of He-Man that was made in the vintage line. He comes with his power sword in a yellow color, and he also came with a silver shield, which I don't display here because only one hand can hold a weapon, meaning the sword can be only held in the left hand, while the right hand is shaped as a fist. Now, the fact that the hand is shaped as a fist is part of the action feature he comes with. This red knapsack at the back is able to store inside the compartment a round of caps, popping caps. And when it's closed and when he's turning the waistline, he will punch with his fist and the caps will practically pop inside. The feature is just too old and it doesn't work anymore, but that's the idea of the figure. And he has obviously the articulation in the arms. The head can turn left and right. The legs can also move forward and backward. In regards to the fact that the legs are connected again with a small rubber band in the crotch. The armor is not removable due to the fact that it has the knapsack on the back, and he does have a spring-loaded waist so that when he's turned around he can punch with his fist, which practically activates, as I said, the popping cap feature in his back. So this would be the Thunder Punch He-Man, one of the variants of He-Man. There were several made in those days. And here he is up close. Very nicely done figure and a very imaginative action feature. Now this vehicle here was one of the early vehicles of the toy line, and this is the Battle Ram. Together with its back part, and they can be split into two vehicles, which is the interesting part. So here we go. We can just have the flying vehicle itself, which is very well known from the Filmation cartoon series. And here is practically a tank at the back, which has this red lever here. When it's pressed, this rocket, there is about 3 of them, is spring-loaded, and it would just fire up in the air. This can be used, as I said, as a separate vehicle in order to fire the rocket at the bad guys. And the flying vehicle, of course, can be used by the good guys and the bad guys alike by simply placing your figure like so. Now this particular figure, I have a bit of a problem holding on to it because one of his hands is shaped like a fist, but majority of the other figures can easily fit and with one of their hands hold on to the... Oh, there we go. We can just adjust the fist a little bit and he can just in a way look like he's holding on to the vehicle. So here we go. He has this laser here from where he can fire the enemy, and as I said, this vehicle became famous due to the Filmation cartoon series, where it showed up several times, used by both good guys and the bad guys. Especially it was used by Men-at-Arms and Tila and their Royal Guard in the pursuit of the bad guys. But it was also used by Skeletor's warriors as well in the air fights. So this is how it looks together with the figure. Let's just try and keep it this way. There we go. Now I'll just show you how it looks with the figure when it's joined with the back part, meaning the big tank. So we just join the pieces right there in the middle to compromise one vehicle. And here we go. We'll just put He-Man, we'll use the same one. And there we go. This is how he looks when he's sitting on the complete battle ram. And he's ready for fight. And let's show him from the other side as well. The wheels can move back and forward. This vehicle does not work on batteries, so one has to just manually push it on the surface. And it looks pretty nice for the vehicles of that time. So that would be the Battle Ram and the Thunder Punch He-Man. So with this one, I would just conclude my story for today. And if you like what you see, please do subscribe down below and leave any comments if you have any. and I will see to it that I make some further vintage He-Man videos in the future from at least the pieces I have. And I'll catch you guys later. Thanks for watching. Bye.